Welcome back to the Good, the Bad and the Ugly podcast with me, Tony Morell, proudly sponsored by Super Resin. This week's special guest is Levi Whalley, a former nurse from Blackburn, whose life took a dramatic turn after being caught smuggling substances on a trip from New York. In this powerful episode, Levi opens up about her early life, working in healthcare, the moment everything changed, and the media storm that followed. Thanks for listening and watching this episode.
I thought, this isn't good, what are we doing? Just thought, I'm going to wake up and it's a bit bad nightmare. That's something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. And you only show what you want the world to see, but because I seem happy on them doesn't mean that I am.
Welcome to the Good, the Bad and the Ugly podcast with me, Tony Morell, and this week's special guest is Levi Whalley.
Hello.
We're looking forward to you really sharing the Good, the Bad and the Ugly. How are we, love?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Just there, you come over from Blackburn, is that right?
I have, yeah. Not too far, not too far.
So it wasn't a bad journey.
No, not too bad, quite easy.
It is. Well, look, Levi, what we're going to talk about, obviously, is about how your dream holiday to New York turned into a living nightmare.
Yeah.
Things weren't what you thought when you arrived back in the UK, and we're going to get into that, but also, you know, your mental health and stuff and how it affected you, and you know, because people want to hear your side of the story, where people might have read it in the newspaper and someone's 10 pence worth turns into £1 million. So, you know, getting your story out there, but also what you're doing with your life now and your beautiful little daughter as well. So, but look, we just want to start from where you grew up, where you're from, family life and school life was like.
Yeah, so I grew up in Blackburn, and I would say I came from like a working class background really. I had my mum and my dad. Got brought up with both of them. Good parents, I'd say. We didn't have much, but they gave us the best of everything that they did have. But when later in life they've gone on to do better for themselves. But as a child growing up, I didn't have a lot, but we had the best of everything that we could. So yeah, growing up was fine. Education was fine. No problems in school, making friends, and then went on to finished school, went on to do my GCSEs, and then I went and did my A-levels, and then I went to university for a number of years to go and be a nurse. First of all, I did a social science degree for 3 years, and then I went and did my nursing degree, but from the age of 18 I was always in the care sector, and then it led us on to this really.
Yeah. So in the care sector, you know, was you working with the NHS or was it private and stuff like that? Bit of both? Bit of both.
At the first it was the NHS. I started off at the age of 18 in the NHS as a healthcare assistant. I loved it and I loved looking after people, and I found it really rewarding. And then as a nurse worked in the NHS, and then later went to work into the private sector.
Yeah, and you loved it and you enjoyed it?
I loved it, yeah.
Young, you know, I
had a lot of aspirations, and I did pretty well within my nursing career when I was there. I got like a sister role quite quickly.
So you know, sort of excelled, didn't you?
Yeah, quite quick. So I it was my passion.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
So being young, free, single, you know, you were going travelling and stuff. You enjoyed travelling, didn't you? You know, you and your friends and stuff like that.
Yeah. So from when I were at like in education and everything, I were in a relationship for a number of years, like a childhood sweetheart. And we just drifted apart really, and then I came on to this. Like my friend was travelling, she were in Dubai, she were doing this and doing this. So I thought, oh, I want a bit of that really. I think I'll have a bit of that now. I'm single now. Yeah. I'm not with anyone. I've been in this relationship since I was dead young. That's all I've ever known. So I thought, I want to go and like live the world and do a bit of me. So I was a bit later on going and doing it really. So before the incident I took like a bit of time out to do a bit of travelling, and I went like to different places, and I'd saved up really from the money from working. I'd always worked.
You were grafting hard, working hard.
I grafted like 7 days a week.
12-hour shifts.
12-hour shifts. I were a grafter, yeah.
Yeah. But like that's it though, and I think what people don't understand, like I always say this to my kids, is look, if you want something, work hard, and when you go on them holidays, it's what you've worked hard for. When you're relaxing, you're having a cocktail, or you're just chilling on the beach, or you're going and enjoying yourself. you know, and it's what...
And you can say you've done that.
Yeah,
you know, no one's given it you. Because I got brought up to, if you want something, Levi, you've got to go and do it.
That's what I say to my kids. That's what I've always said to my kids.
And I'm glad that was installed in me, you know, because I've always then gone out and thought, right, if I want that, I'm going to go and do it, and I've gone and done it.
I know, and that's it. And you've seen some lovely parts of the world and stuff like that, you know, like you say. And, you know, you were single, you were young, you know, you enjoying it, you've worked hard. But you, like you say, you know, it gets to that time where I think, you know, December 23, a trip of a lifetime to New York with your friend. Was it your friend's?
It were, yeah. It turned into a bit of a hell. So
what was New York like as a place when
New York was somewhere I always wanted to go. It was always, if anyone had always said a dream trip, you know, I'd been to some beautiful places in the world, Thailand, and that was amazing. Greece, these are amazing places, but I always wanted to go to New York. You know, it's city and it's cold, and I just wanted to see New York. You see it as a child, you know, on TV.
Yeah, and on Home Alone and stuff like that. And yeah.
So when my friend said, do you fancy coming to New York? I didn't hesitate. I was like, yeah, I was like, count me in, I'll definitely come to New York.
Yeah.
And that's when I was told, oh, we'll bring some watches back.
Well, we're going to get on to that. So a friend of he's passed, you know, for the trip and all that. So you went to New York, you went and enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, was it explained to you, like, exactly, you know, you're going to bring some watches back and stuff like that?
Yeah. So in New York, we went to New York, seen New York. We didn't even have to think about what we were doing.
How long was you over there for?
3 days, I think. It was 3 days. So we visited all of New York. I was like, well, I'm not.
You cram everything in, don't you?
I was like, listen, I'm not drinking. I said, I want to see New York. I thought, I'm not drinking with hangover and going around New York.
Because it's not like a normal holiday. It's not a normal holiday.
No.
It's like trekking about and going seeing, like,
I must did about
downtown and all that, and the Empire State Building and all
about
that.
20,000, 30,000 steps a day. I thought, wow, yeah. So it was brilliant. We've seen everything when we were there. We booked everything to see. Statue of Liberty. Went to is it like one of the Chicago shows? West End, it's called, isn't it?
Down in Times Square and all
that. Yeah, down there. We did everything. Did everything you could. Crammed it in.
You crammed it in, and it's one of those. New York, it's like the city that never sleeps, they say, isn't it?
We arrived there, and I think it were about 3 a.m. and we were staying in Times Square, and I was right excited. I was like a little a child, and we'd gone into Times Square, and like you said, it was like the city that didn't sleep. Everything was
still active.
Yeah,
it's still active at that time.
3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, do we have to go to bed? I'm like, no, let's go to bed, and we'll get up at like 8. I was like, we'll have a few hours sleep, and then let's just go around New York.
And that's it. And it's just like you say, you've crammed it all in, and then it's time to come home. And I've been to New York twice. It's an unbelievable place, and it's like you say, it's. You, even in them 3 days, you think, oh, I missed that out. And that's why I went back again, because I wanted to see stuff I'd missed. But obviously, you know, at the point, did you realise when you were coming home, was there a point that what you were bringing back watches, that you were under the impression it was watches?
Yes. So we were told it was watches. 100%, that's what I got told. She said, we're going to bring some watches back. This girl, blah, blah, blah. This girl, right, was on it, right. But at the time, I weren't really thinking about what I was doing. I was more bothered about going to New York, as not good as it sounds. I thought, no, I just want to go to New York. And then it weren't until we then had an hour before your flight, you was then given your suitcase to come back. So you didn't really have much time to think about it. You were there enjoying New York, given the expenses to go and enjoy New York, do this, and you weren't really thinking about the consequences of what you was doing. It
just never crossed your mind. I know people might go, oh, well, that's daft. But you know what, Levi?
It didn't.
When you're in that position.
It's easy to say, it's easy to judge. Yeah,
of course it is.
It really is. And at the time, I was going through a bit of rubbish myself and met a few wrong people, and I was seeing it as, when I was travelling, I was seeing it as a bit of escape. Like, you shouldn't really run away from your problem, you should be facing it there and then. But I sort of would say I used the travelling to escape.
To break away.
To break away and deal what I was dealing with in my head. As much as people might think, oh, it looks like you were living this lifestyle, but at the time in my head I was running away from things. And when she said let's go to New York, I thought yeah, because I've just been through this, I need to go.
But Levi, do you know what? You're being honest.
Yeah.
And this is why I wanted to speak to you and get you on, because the papers can print whatever they want.
Yeah.
You're going on these trips and you're going on all that, and look,
it looks like
exactly,
this.
and fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, it can be portrayed like that, but when
Yeah.
you're going and you're working hard, and you know, you're doing the 12-hour shifts and you're working 5-7 days a week, and you're banking your money.
Yeah.
People don't know they are, and then like you're saying, we all have issues or we all have
course we
problems,
do.
and a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna blank this out. I'm gonna fuck off for 2 weeks, or I'm gonna get away from everything. I'm gonna come back and I'll face it then.
Yeah.
And look, you're not the first one to do it.
No.
But unfortunately, you know what you say, you've been given these cases an hour before you're flying.
Yeah.
And is that when it's sort of dawning on you
Oh,
all?
yeah, then reality kicked in then. And I thought, oh, God, we've got to go back now. So then that caused arguments between us. And
Going to the airport.
well, we didn't want to do it. We said, no, we're not doing it. And then there was messages between saying, no, we're not doing it. Like this can't be watches, because we weren't given the combination. They were expensive cases, so you could not get in these cases. They were expensive. They were all
Cling wrapped or whatever.
yeah, you couldn't get in, and we were like trying to press them and thinking, even if they were, I don't know what, I just weren't thinking straight. And I was like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing it. I was like, we're just gonna go back. And then we were sort of like felt threatened in a way, and then knew that these people had been, and felt under a lot of pressure, really, like that we had to, even though we didn't, we could have turned away, but I felt we had to. Do you know, like there was at the point of no return.
What you're saying is because you're going back, that's your flight back.
Yeah.
You know, whether you had money
And
to
I didn't
stay
know
in New
these
York.
people. Do you know, like,
Did you meet them face to face, or was it just no?
I'd never met these people, so it was more.
It was a friend of your friends.
Friend, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know who these people are, and obviously I thought these could be like really dangerous people I'm dealing with here, and then that's when the reality kicked in. God, they have just paid for my trip and they have done this. Like, what are they going to actually do to us if we don't take these cases back? And then we were like discussing between each other about, what is that girl definitely brought these cases, but yeah, it's well known that people do it. Loads of people do this, and I was like, oh, all right then, you know, thinking, oh God, like just get me home.
On that drive to the airport,
yeah.
you must have been like,
oh,
I mean,
a nervous wreck, yeah.
Your anxiety and everything, just
even through the airport.
When you put the checking the cases in,
yeah.
And in New York with the police and all that, it's a different.
Oh yeah.
You got to take your belts off. You got to take it's in America. It's a different level, isn't it?
It is. And then I just remember hearing like alarms, and I'm thinking, it's for us. Do you know, like panicking, like these alarms are coming for us, and I was just panicked. It was just the whole journey home from start to end. It were horrific.
So you've checked in your cases.
Checked them in.
You've got through.
Yeah, got through.
I don't
remember them saying, did you check them in yourself? But they must do. I don't know. But maybe it's because I had that much gone on.
No, your head's all over the place.
Yeah, I don't.
Your head's all over the place. I can't even imagine how.
I can't even remember. Yeah. I was just thinking, get me home, do you know?
So you've gone in, you're in New York, whatever airport it is.
Yeah, JFK.
JFK, sorry.
Yeah.
And then he said John Lennon Airport then, but JFK Airport. And like you say in America, you know, when they're saying alarms and, you know, you checked in, have you gone to the bar for like a drink or anything, or have you just... No,
but I needed one.
Yeah, you did. I bet you did, yeah.
I thought, oh no, I'm not having a drink, I will go under.
Flight 7 hours, isn't it? I think the flight's 7 hours.
Yeah. And
what was
then,
you like on the flight? Was you just...
I couldn't think straight. I thought it were a nightmare, and I thought, what are we doing?
I'm going to wake up here.
Yeah, like, what are we actually doing? Like, this isn't, I thought, this isn't good. What are we doing? Like... I'm going to wake up any minute here, like you said. I just thought, I'm going to wake up and it's just this is a bit bad nightmare.
And then it's just, and then obviously you've landed at Birmingham Airport.
Birmingham Airport, yeah. Landed there, went through passport control, And then we were waiting at the
You wait-
carousel.
Yeah.
And then our cases came round. But as we were waiting there, very apprehensive, I felt like we were being watched anyway. I forgot what they're called. Custom.
You know, customs and excise. Yeah, you know, yeah.
So I felt like
Custom officers, yeah.
So I felt like
Border Force.
Border Force, that's it. I felt like we was being watched anyway because they were around. And then our cases came out, and our cases came out completely different compared to everyone else's. Our cases came out face upright like this, and everyone else's cases was like lead flat. And I think it was at that point as well.
You knew.
Yeah. I could see like the Border Force was over there.
Did you get the sort of grouping and that or whatever?
Yeah. I think there were 3 or 2 of them. I think maybe 3 of them, and they were stood there, and then they were walking because you've got to walk through nothing to declare, and then we got the cases off. We were like, I said, okay, I kept going, I need toilet. She's like, no, you don't. I'm like, oh, no, I don't, but I just need to get out of here. But I thought, right, I'm going to have to get these cases off. But I knew at that point the cases came out completely different. Grabbed the cases, we went through nothing to declare, and that's where we got stopped then. They said, hi girls, where have you been? And that's when we then explained, to New York, what have you been doing, a shopping trip. And then there was like, did you pack your cases? And then I went, no, because I thought, no.
Did you just own up straight away?
Straight away, yeah, because I was like,
Did the arse just fall out of you? You just...
Yeah, I knew straight away. I was like, no. And they were like, what's the combination? You must know it. I was like, I honestly don't, because we didn't. And then they ripped the cases open in front of us. They had some like special things, how they got the cases open, cases ripped open. And then that's where there was like all these heat sealed packs.
There was like 70 heat sealed.
Yeah, it was just, the case was just full of them.
And it was...
And I didn't know
cannabis, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't even know what was in these at that point, because they were all heat sealed, and that's when they were all thinking, oh God, what is this? Thinking
it could be something else. Yeah,
I was thinking it could be
cocaine
yeah, it could be like even a class A, or oh God. And then they opened it, and then you could just.
Do you know when they've opened it in front of you there?
Oh, we were.
What did you just?
Break
down?
Break down. Yeah, we both broke down, and then we were arrested more or less like straight away. But it was close to like Christmas as well. It was like just 100 things were going through my head at the time.
Was you thinking jail and?
Yeah, I thought I weren't ever going to see my family again. I thought we were going to be remanded straight away.
Remanded, yeah.
Yeah, I thought. They didn't sell because we had to.
Was you together when you were in the cells?
Oh no.
No, they kept you apart.
Oh,
yeah.
So we separate cells. You weren't allowed to contact anyone because potentially if we was the big drug dealers, we could have rang someone at home and said, right, get all this out the house. So my house was raided. They raided my house. I weren't able to ring my family to say like, oh look, I'm here, like this is where I am. So I was stuck in this cell for 24 hours thinking. They kept coming, do you want to bring all that? No. I was just thought, no. I just don't want to speak to anyone. We torture because you don't know just God in themselves, yeah. They're not good. Yeah.
So they held you for 24 hours, Levi, and
24, yeah.
And what the process then was like, you were interviewed and stuff, and then
yeah.
You just what was it? Was it scary because you've never been arrested or nothing before? And,
no. Interviewed and just advised to be like, no comment, go all the way through, and I didn't. Do you know what I mean? It was a scary process, but then they was trying to manipulate, asking certain questions, but I just did what the solicitor advised me to do. And then they were saying that we were, can you make your own way home? And I was like, what? Because I'd had it in my head that I was going to be remanded straight away, thinking the worst case scenario. And I thought, oh my God, how am I going to explain this? I didn't even told anyone I went to New York.
Yeah.
I thought, how am I going to explain this?
Yeah.
So it were hard, yeah.
And then you were getting back from Birmingham, was it like?
We had to then get a taxi back from Birmingham, which weren't easy at that time at night. I think it was like midnight we got let out. So we had to get a taxi back from Birmingham.
Must have cost you a few quid from Birmingham.
Yeah.
But you just wanted to get back home and...
Yeah, just wanted to get home. I just thought, like, get me home. And then I think we went back to Mum, but the house had been raided and everything.
Was your house a mess?
It weren't as bad, but it were...
You could see, obviously,
they'd been through it, yeah. I was like, oh God, they've been through everything. They
Yeah.
literally could say there were things out, but it wasn't as bad as
you thought.
I thought.
How did your family and your loved ones and stuff like that, and you know, when they found out, how did they react?
So my dad then came banging on the morning after, and
It's like, what's
I burst out crying, and he just gave me an hug straight away. You know, my family were really supportive, really.
You were understanding?
Understanding, you know, yeah, they just give me an hug and like, oh, Levi, what have you done?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're like, what have you done? Like,
And was you open and honest with them straight away from the off?
I said, oh God, like, just told them told them the true story, and then they were like, oh, that, but they had my back, and they was like, right, well, we're gonna get through this, like, really, you know, really supportive. Good, I've got a good family, and they all supported me through it all.
Do you know what? I'm looking at you, and I can see you've got tears in your eyes. Because you know what? I always say this to my kids.
Yeah.
Just be honest with me and tell me the truth, and I'll have you back.
Yeah.
Don't sell me down the river and tell me bullshit.
No.
Because if you do, I can't back you up. I can't help you.
No, exactly.
And I think...
And I've always been like that
with your mum, and you've got that relationship,
yeah.
And I say that to my kids. I said, I'll always help you.
Yeah.
I might not be happy with the choices you made.
Yeah.
I've made silly choices in my life, do you know what I mean?
Of course.
But
I think it's about understanding
and it's you know, you learn.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you've made a fucking stupid, silly mistake, which we all make silly mistakes. And at that time in your life, like you're saying, you're having a little bit of what's the name, and you know, and people might go, yeah, but they fucking knew what was in the cake. But look, when you're in that situation,
if you're there,
and I get it, because at first I was thinking, well, you could have just not done it, and I was genuinely, but then when you're explaining to me, when you're in New York and you're ready to go to the airport,
an hour before as well. And they're putting this pressure on you. I weren't given the case as soon as I got there, and then I had time to think about it. I was just off enjoying New York. I was loving New York, thinking, oh, it's a dream. I've always
and also you've had some stuff going on where you've got away from it, because that was your little break. You wanted to get away from what was going on.
Yeah, a million things going on, and I thought, I need to get away from this situation right now, because it seemed to be one thing after another that I was going through, and hitting like a brick wall, and I thought, just get me away.
I need a break.
Yeah.
And when that comes calling, you're thinking, I'll jump at that.
Yeah. I thought, maybe it's meant to be, but it weren't.
Of course, no. But like you're saying, the legal consequences, how did you mentally cope with facing the reality, you know, with both of yous, you know?
Yeah, it was difficult. So I came back, and I had the shame to deal with, like, with my family, but I was just honest, and they supported me through it. And then the shame is in, like, I'm going to go and be honest in work now. And apparently, I don't know if I even needed to be until I actually been charged. I was only charged this year. So
this year now,
yeah,
2020.
I was only charged January 25. We weren't charged for 13 months. So it took 13 months for an actual charge. So
but that hanging over you though.
I know.
So you could have just went into work and fucking said nothing or whatever.
I know, my solicitor.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I've had a similar situation where, you know what I mean?
My solicitor said you could have just gone work, never said anything, and then dealt with it at the charge.
But that's the person you are.
Yeah.
Your morals are right and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And you've been open.
I went straight in on after Christmas, because that's when it were, and I was like, right. I thought, how do you even explain this? Because
did you
they're not going to think. I used to like, listen, Levi's gone and done that. That's what they used to call me, like, no way she's gone and done that. And I thought, how the hell am I?
And did you have to speak to a manager, or what was that like, speaking to, sitting down with her, and or was it a male? Was it, or
it was female?
Yeah.
I thought, how am I going to? How do I say that I've brought a load of cannabis back from New York? I thought, how do I have that conversation? But I just had to have it, and that were difficult. That were really difficult to do, and embarrassing, because
did she understand, or was it just like a bombshell for her, which just fell on her lap and just was
I think maybe a bombshell for her, because it's a bit much. It's a bit heavy, isn't it? Like,
of course it is. Of course it is.
It's not what everyday people go and do.
But you know what though? It's like.
And it's not something from my character that people who knew
would
me
know you,
would be like, no, you've not gone and done that, Levi.
But your honest intent, you've gone in and you've been honest, and you've been open,
Yeah.
because your job and everything, and you wanting to explain the situation, and like,
Because I didn't know what we're going to come
because you're not
from.
involved in all that, you know what I mean?
No.
Where it's like, it's happened before, so I know I can play this game and not say nothing or whatever.
No.
But you're not
I'm
to
not
know.
a criminal, do you
No,
know?
exactly.
I'm not, I've always worked all my life and worked very hard for everything that I've ever had in my life. It's been ingrained with me that if I want to go and do anything, I've got to go and do it, and
And work hard for it.
Worked really hard over the years.
But you made it a fucking, one of them mistakes, which...
Yeah, a big mistake that,
Yeah.
you know, that's something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life, you know, and it is shameful. I'm really ashamed of it. It's not something that I'm proud about. I wish if I could go back in time,
course.
I would not do that. Do you know
But
what I mean?
what?
I wouldn't.
Coming on and speaking about
Yeah.
it, you know, I think it's one of the what's names I was going to ask you a little bit, but I'm going to ask you it now. But anybody out there who's in a position where, you know, they might be in a bad place or whatever,
Yeah.
and they think, what would your advice be to them to fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, anyone that's in a bad place, rather than run from your problems, because that's what I do. I run from my problems, and I don't discuss and talk to people about them. I'm this girl that'll put up on a really brave face, that no, everything's going to be fine. And I think in the future, for anyone going forward, like if you're going through something, talk to someone. There's people out there, you know, any friends or family, or there's services that you can go and speak to, and deal with it, like deal with your problem there and then, rather than going, because if your mindset's not right, you then go and make risk-taking,
Put yourself in a situation.
I didn't, you know, if my mind was in a good place, absolutely not. But in my mind at the time, it was, you know, in a risk-taking in place. I'd been through a lot of things that I'd been through and weren't really thinking. But if I would have gone and sought help or a bit of advice, and, you know, maybe I would have made better choices.
You made a decision, and look, you've openly admitted that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that takes a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you've made a mistake. Fucking hell. And okay, lucky enough, you know, you know, you need to talk about it, where there's other, you know, there's other scenarios where people, you know, have been locked out. Like you said, you were thinking, I'm going to get locked up.
And even with what I'm like, people are like saying, oh, I should be in jail and things like this. Like, I weren't the judge on the day. Like, I'm thankful I'm not.
You touched lucky.
Yeah, I'm thankful I'm really not. But
you've got to touch it.
But I weren't going with the perception that I weren't going.
Did you take a bag with you?
Of course, yeah. I had all my numbers in my phone ready. I was prepared. I was prepared for the worst and hoped for the best, and obviously the best did come. But the minute we even got arrested at Birmingham, I thought for the worst there then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But like the media's perception of you, you know, both of you, like, you know, like it's mad. Like, you led jet-setting lives, and, you know, so listen. At the end of the day, people's social media platforms are their own platforms.
Yeah.
Right, and at the end of the day, like you said there...
And you only show what you want the world to see, but because I seem happy on them doesn't mean that I am.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, this is the thing about social media.
Yeah, I'm only showing you what I want you to see. Do you know what I mean?
You don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Oh, no, and in anyone's life, I think, do you know what I mean?
But this is it, everyone can play up for social media, or if you want to say play up, can post the happy times, but they don't see the times when you're feeling down, or you're upset, or you've got stuff going on. People don't post they've just had a fucking big bill through the door, or something's gone on within the family, you know, it's stuff like that. But the media, like the way they portray and stuff, because I had a little glance through the stuff and that, and I was like, fucking hell, and do you know what? And
it would be so easy for me, because I'm quite empathetic. I can put myself in other people's situations to think, well, if I were on the other foot and I was seeing that these two girls and we're living this lifestyle, it's easy to think, oh God, you know, it's easy to think like that and have that opinion. But I know the people close to me and my family, the close people I've got, know who I am. Do you know what I mean?
That's all that matters.
And that's all that matters. So when I've seen some of these horrible things, I've not even looked. So I just thought, do you know what? People can say what they want, but as long as I'm true to myself, that's the only thing.
And the people who mean the most to you, like you just said, your mum, your dad, you know, your close friends and family and stuff like that. Absolutely. And I think, Levi, that's probably the best way to deal with it, you know what I mean? And look, you've openly admitted you fucking made a big mistake, and look, we live and learn, you know what I mean? And you know, it's one of those, like 13 months before like it went to court,
Yeah.
How was you? Because I was in a similar situation, and I tell you something now. I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
But for yourself, I don't know if it was the same. Sleepless nights.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And it was your anxiety through the roof.
Yeah.
Was you sleep? Was you just
I
all over?
still don't sleep well now. Do you know what I mean? It still affected me late. Like still now, I get affected by it. Yeah. But I can't change it now.
If you could, you would.
Oh, if I could, I would. Of course, I would. Yeah, I'd change it in a flash
an
like
instant.
that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's me and it's my story. Do you know what I mean? And I've made a mistake.
But you've owned it. You've owned it. Where like you could come on and you could go, oh yeah, this.
I could
and
try and
you
blame them.
Pass the book. You pass the book and stuff, and look, you've stood up, and and you've gone, look, I did do it. You know what I mean?
I did do it, and I probably could have not do it, but I've.
But the situation you've explained, what people will get, what's the name of is how you. Being in that situation, it's like anything. Easily, and like you said, your head wasn't right because stuff was going on, and look, when you're in that position, some people don't take a walk in someone else's shoes. You know what I mean? You don't know what that person's actually going through. Yeah, fuck this, I'm going away for 3 or 4 days, and you forget everything because you're in this place and you're in the sun, or you're in New York, and you just forget everything, and then when it's time back to reality, plonk. And if that's on you, and then you're thinking, fucking hell, this is real.
Yeah, I did.
And you've openly admit, Now then, everyone, sorry for interrupting this episode. Here's a message from our sponsor, Super Resin. They are specialists in resin driveways and flooring across North Wales and the North West. Whether it's a driveway, worktop or flooring, they've got you covered. For 10% off, use the code TGTBTU. Now let's get back to the episode. What impact did it have on your mental health and stuff like that?
Just massive. It's given me severe anxiety, especially after it all. I had anxiety going out, thinking, shamed. I was shameful really, because I have come from this educated, because I was a nurse and I should have known better. I was bothered about what people will think, but I've come to that where I'm not bothered anymore. People are always going to have their own opinion. But I was very ashamed, and it's affected my mental health massively as the person I am. But then it's also shaped me into a better person as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely shaped me into a person that can outlook on different people, because we all make mistakes.
Of course we
shouldn't
do,
throw stones at glass houses, and it's so easy to judge. It's made me a whole type of person, I would say, going forward.
Just speaking to you, you're owning it.
Yeah.
You're owning it, you know what I mean? Where you could come on and just go, oh, yeah, this and that, it was this one and that one, and and stuff like that. And even like you're saying, you still to this day, it kills you because I made a mistake. But was you given any support, or counselling or anything, or through the legal system or anything, or?
No, I weren't actually. No, but I am having a bit of counselling now, but that's for me. I think I need that now, but no, yeah.
Yeah, so you
I've rooted that for myself, but no, I weren't given really much support.
You wasn't, no?
No.
Bloody, and like you say, you're rebuilding yourself, know, and like you say, when people might use the title drug smuggler or whatever, is that what hurts you, or does it, or it's sort of, because it's what happened and what what you were charged. Well, you know what I mean.
It's not that, because people are saying things like drug smuggler, she's a drug dealer, and I'm thinking, well, I'm hardly not, but I am a drug smuggler, but I'm not a drug dealer. But it's hard. I don't know.
To get away from that.
It's a stigma, and yes, I did do it, but it's not like I've been actively at doing this for years, and I was fully aware of that this was cannabis or this was this, you know what I mean? I'm not actively up the chain doing this and that,
No.
Yeah.
No, you were just, obviously, you were just
been used.
You have, and you've been manipulated. That's what happens, unfortunately, and okay, the holiday was all paid for and all that, and then people might go, well, what did you expect or whatever, but then again,
I weren't knowing what I expected,
because like you say, your mind wasn't in the right place, where you've just said then, look, at the end of the day, if my mind was in the right place and I went and spoke to the right people,
Yeah, if I got,
maybe I wouldn't have went, do you know what?
if I was around the right people, I might have been in a totally different situation.
And
but, you know,
this is the thing, being around good people.
Of course.
Levi, we all find out in life who the real ones are.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's okay, everyone being all happy, but you don't, you know, the ones who are there on your bad days or,
Yeah.
and then,
And I've found that out a lot.
yeah,
a lot
you do, and that's what you do,
recently.
you find out who your real friends are and stuff, and your real friends are the
Course.
one of the ones who'll go,
They'll be
no, get your shit.
They'll have your back no matter what.
Yeah,
And
they'll talk.
and they'll be honest with you. Like,
Yeah.
I've got a lot of friends that not a lot. I've only got a real small, count them on a hand. But
Yeah.
there'll be like a friend that's so brutally honest with me, and I'm like, oh. But then you need that.
Of course you
know
do,
what I mean?
yeah. And I think sometimes, you know, when you make that decision where you think, oh, fucking if that friend would have said to me, look, don't go on that trip or whatever. Your head's a bit baffled. Look, so do this, do that. But it's all ifs, buts and maybes. It's that, you know, when we all make mistakes, you know.
Of course we do,
So don't be so hard on yourself, even though, you know, you've got to touch great. In life, you know, you're prepared for the worst, but, you know, you got to touch.
Yeah.
You know, and that what, you know, what would Levi back then say to Levi now? Or Levi now say to Levi back then? About that decision? Obviously, don't fucking do it.
So definitely that bit. But it would be think, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah, of course.
think, girl. Think about the consequences. I'm very think now. I'm definitely in a think mode where I
think a lot more.
Yeah, I think about the whole situation and not very narrow-minded.
Going 2 feet
I'm
in
just
instead
with tunnel vision before. Right? Yeah. I'm not bothered. Like, But now I think about the consequences, about how it also can impact on other people if I do that, if I make this decision. So it's all about making good decisions. I'd say, you know, think about things. Yeah.
Do you think the justice system helped you change, or was the change something you thought you had to do yourself?
I think it was something I definitely have had to do myself. So a lot lately in my life's happened, and I've had a lot of reflection time recently, but it's been good. So it's something that I've needed to change. But the justice system, it has changed me, because I don't want to be in any more situations of that again. I'd never want to be in that type of situation again.
No, most definitely no. And it's good that you know, you sort of like, it's 2 years ago, and you know, you're looking at, you've got a different outlook on things, you know what I mean?
Oh, massive. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know it's a big wake-up call and stuff like that, but I think as we get older,
you get wiser, don't you?
You get wise, and it's mad when people say it to you, isn't it? You go, oh, fuck off, you know what I mean? And but they're right.
Yeah.
You get wiser.
The person from me now to 2 years ago is completely different person. Yeah.
And you saw, like you just said then, about counting your real friends on one hand.
Absolutely.
How many times did, like, your mum or your dad or, like, someone say that to you and you go, oh, shut up, I've got loads of friends.
Yeah, I know.
And you go,
no.
Really?
No.
Would they sit in a room when you're not there and have your back?
Oh, they do.
Do you know, like, stuff like that? The ones you can count on your hands, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you go to people and you go, no, what are you on about? I've got loads of friends.
Yeah.
Are they really your friends?
Yeah, no, I know. I've learned a lot of that.
And it's hard.
Yeah, you've got to narrow. You've got to find your people.
What's your life looking like now?
Totally different. Got a little girl now.
Yeah. How old's your little girl?
She's 7 months and she's amazing. She's definitely the apple to my eye. Arabella.
Yeah.
Yeah, she came and she was a gift. And as a lot of people like, she only got pregnant for avoid jail. Let me tell you, if you knew the story, but I don't want to go into it.
No, listen, that's...
But she's one gift, and she was sent for a reason, because unfortunately my mum just passed away in March. She came for a reason.
Right, okay.
Yeah, she came to definitely save me. I don't want to speak too much about it 'cause I get upset.
No,
but,
don't worry.
So my life's about her now, and focusing on her and being a mum. And I think with being a parent, your whole outlook's different. And I want to do the best for her now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a bit of a setback, because I thought, you know, I had this career I thought I was always going to be working in. I thought I was always going to be a nurse. It's a stable job. You've got a good pension, and you've always got this job. You can travel the world with it. And my life, what I thought was going to be, is not. but I wouldn't change it anyway. So I've had to sort of rebuild myself in that aspect. So I've taken a bit of time off at the moment anyway for Arabella.
Of course,
so, just focusing on her, me and her. And I want to go into like the aesthetics. So I did a bit of that previously, and I want to do that following, in the future going forward.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about your aesthetics and stuff like that. Do you ever think you'll ever escape the stigma of your past? And you know what, the reason I asked that is like, it's always going to be, you know what I mean? And you just, like you say, it's happened, it's done.
Yeah.
But I just, it's...
No, I think you're always going to have people that have...
an opinion.
An opinion. And you know what? They're entitled to it, so let them have their opinion.
But you know what? I understand people have opinions, and I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
But if if you've got nothing nice to say, don't fucking say it. Don't say it.
I've seen a lot of that, and I think...
Fair enough.
Really any need?
It's like constructive criticism sound. You can take that.
Yeah.
But when it's like nasty or
and it's personal to people as well, and personal to people's life or people's very personal, like family, or how they look, or how they've done this, or what choice. When it gets personal, I think that's when it gets nasty.
Yeah. And I just that's what I think with, like you see on social media and stuff, and I just think
I'm not about that, mate. I'm not that.
No, I like to see anyone do well, and listen, I'm not trying to save the world or whatever.
No.
But you know what I mean. You see someone doing well, or the business, fucking great. Good on you, having a go and stuff like that. But when you see people just like absolutely crucifying people and that, I think, it's a bit. See that, and it's all right. They've made a mistake. We've had guests on who've openly admitted they've made mistakes.
Yeah.
But it's how they come back from it.
Yeah, of course.
People deserve a second chance.
Yeah, I believe that.
And you know what? We've all made stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
And
I think if you haven't, you've got a story, and I think in life you've got to make some mistakes. Maybe not to the extent I have, but that's my story and that's my mistake. And I think that making these mistakes makes you a whole person going forward, and makes you reflect on people completely different.
Exactly.
You can speak to people, and it makes you a more rounder person, and it the outlook in other people's life as well, and you can take that on board and help people and guide people.
No, that's it, isn't it? But your aesthetics business, is it?
Yeah.
LA Beauty, is it?
It is, yes.
LA Beauty.
Yeah.
So is it like something you've been involved in for a while?
Yeah, so I did my training in 2019. I did my nursing, and then I went and did the aesthetics training. And it's something I've done a little bit of here and there, but it's something that, especially within the next few months, I want to definitely have a go at. 100% put my whole into it. So I think that's my business mind focus. I've never been lazy, so I know if I've got my head on something, I'm doing it.
You're all in.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Just spending this a little bit more time with my daughter while she's still young, because these little crucial moments.
Times,
yeah, they're amazing. But I know my time's coming for where I'm going to do put all my effort into
so hopefully
that.
Business will be booming and stuff like
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Or if it's not that, I'll definitely have something else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just want to touch on on the OnlyFans stuff.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
How did it come about?
So it came about. I think.
Was your friend?
Yeah, I think the newspaper article maybe messaged or contacted my friend about it, and it was from then. It was after the publicity, and then it did cross my mind. I thought, maybe bad publicity is not as bad as
a lot of people say that. They don't. But yeah.
So I thought, and then I thought,
you dip your toe in.
I'll dip my toe in then.
Yeah.
And then I thought I'll dip my toe. And do you know what? Good on the people that do it. I'm not doing it now. I'm not saying that I'm never going to do it either.
Yeah.
I just don't know what I'm going to do going forward, but I know I'm going to do something. And the girls that do it, and guys that do it as well, I think good on them, and it is the industry, unfortunately. It's the industry that sells.
But that's just the thing. That people
have this
people want it.
Yeah.
So it's like at the end of the day, it's what they want, you know.
And people have this really bad outlook and stigma on it, but I don't myself, and I think, do you know what, 10 out of 10 on these people that are doing it. If this is what people want and it sells, it sells. Do you know what I mean? And it's not as easy as people think.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you, because there's a couple of questions I do want to ask you. It was like, you know, and I know obviously you did your sewing and stuff, but you know when your first post, was you nervous?
Yeah.
I mean, look, yeah, it's like anything. Was you nervous or good confidence or?
Yeah, no, because you're thinking, really nervous.
But like you say, you know, you've got nothing to.
Yeah, and it's not as easy as people will think. Like, like being a content creator, I'll just sit and take a few pictures and that's that. It's not that. It's a lot more.
There's a lot goes into it.
A lot goes into it. A lot of time and effort, and I think it's actually pretty difficult. So these content creators deserve 10 out of 10. Yeah, it's a lot of effort that goes into it.
And a lot of people think, you know, the reward is what people think, you know, and you know, where people, and don't get me wrong, you see these, what's these, I've seen on podcasts where girls speak.
I've seen on some of these big girls, and I think, oh, bloody hell, but it's each to their own. Me personally, I think, oh God, maybe I think, well, that's
a bit much. That's a bit much for me. Yeah.
But I think it's about finding the balance, and if you can find that balance, if you think, do you know what, I don't care what anyone else thinks, and I don't care what my family and blah 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 thinks, then that's absolutely fine. Then they've done that, and some of their family support them as well. But I think it's finding that balance and finding you as a content creator of what balance do you want and what level do you want to go at.
Yeah. That's an honest. What's the name of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where people just think it's like girls going on there with who's out and stuff, and you know, and stuff, and fellas going on and whatever. And look, good luck to them. They're not hurting no one.
They're not hurting no one.
And listen, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. You know what I mean? And fair play to them if they want to do it. But you know, did it help your confidence? And you know, or you know,
that's a difficult one. I don't know. I was more bothered about
online, you know, what criticism and judgment, or was you worried about that and stuff?
Yeah, I'm more bothered about, God, is this the right thing or not? Do you know? Is this morally right? Do you know, my own type of moral type of questions, like with my ingrained morals, you know, but not that it's not to anyone else, but it was.
But no, you tried it, didn't you? And that's it. And I think you've maybe come to the what's the name of it?
Yeah, I thought, came to the terms and thought maybe
this isn't
not
for me, or
maybe this isn't for me, or maybe this isn't for me now, or maybe it's never for me. I've just not thought too much of it, but I just stepped away from it. I just thought, oh no, it's a bit too much, this.
No, and listen, and that's why I wanted to, and you're quite happy and openly speak about it, and I think people like who are going to get into OnlyFans or whatever, listening to what you're saying, you know, and you, because you've tried it, and
I think you've got to definitely be a certain type of person.
Like you say, you've got to have tough skin.
You've got to have tough skin.
You know what I mean? You just couldn't give a shit what people think and whatever, and you're happy within yourself and you're doing whatever.
Yeah.
But did you lose any like friendships or you know, family through it, or?
I didn't really. No. But then again, have they had their own judgment on it, and maybe I'm not aware of that?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Probably. What you don't know, doesn't it? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's not really...
but not as far as I know, but I'm sure a lot of people will definitely have their own judgment on it, which is fine. Do you know what I mean?
People have got opinions, that's fine, do you know what I mean?
It's crazy, it's just, I find it crazy how the world is working nowadays, because I was always taught to graft, listen, Levi, like my mum and dad was like, you've got to go and achieve, go and do well for yourself, and only you've got to do that. And it's all new to me, this, that money that you can make online, do you know what I mean? It's
content creating and stuff like that,
it's like a bit of an eye-opener really myself. It's like, this weren't ever about when I was growing up, do you know, I know I'm only 31, but when I left school and everything, it weren't as, maybe it were around or it wasn't as big, but it's massive now.
It is, and I think
it's scary.
It's moved with like time. You finish school or uni or whatever, you go out and get a job.
Yeah.
But now it's like technology. Now I think that plays a big part with a lot of people.
It's an eye-opener,
and there's different aspects of content creating.
Yeah.
There's different, you know what I mean? Podcasts.
Of course.
You know, you've got OnlyFans, you've got people bringing different like
They're
content.
bringing different things.
It's all because now you've got so many social media platforms.
Yeah.
You know, TikTok and stuff, and like YouTube and stuff. That does, if you got a big following and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it does help with like, you know,
Yeah.
building your profile, but also it can pay really good if you've got a good following. But
And I do think it is brilliant, yeah. But, you know,
if that, like you're saying, you've got to be tough to, do you know what I mean?
Hiya everyone, sorry to interrupt this episode, but here's a quick one from me. If you're enjoying the podcast and you enjoy what we're doing, you can now buy us a coffee. It's a simple way to keep those stories coming. No subscription, just that one-off bit of support. The link's in the description. Now back to the episode.
Yeah.
Do you think the stigma of adult content is starting to shift?
Yeah, I think it'll always be there.
It's always been there, hasn't it? It's always...
But I think it's now becoming a bit more of the norm. A bit more of the norm, but I think it's definitely starting to shift.
Because there's always been like porn and stuff like that, hasn't there? But then, obviously, when it's like... It's there. It's there in front of you, yeah.
It's on Instagram.
Yeah.
If you open up someone's Instagram, but you just know, yep, she's a content creator, he's a content creator. Yeah, it's completely shifted, and it has become more acceptable, but I think there'll always be a little bit of a stigma there. But I definitely would say it's become more acceptable now.
Yeah. What advice would you give anyone if they were going to start? Like, I think you just... any advice on starting an OnlyFans or whatever?
I think go for it. You've got to be tough-skinned. And as long as you're tough-skinned and know your boundaries, and I think you've got to know what you want to bring to the table creating content, because there's a content creation for everyone. Even with OnlyFans, it's not just people on there with, there's all sorts. It's not just people on there like with the boobs or out like that. It's a whole different, and you've got to put your niche onto it. So if you know what you want to do,
how far you want to take it,
and how far you want to take it, you've got to be organised. And there are agencies out there because that help and guide, so you just get the right advice, really.
And they guide you in the right way to you know what I mean. But just depending how far you want to take it.
You want to take it, and you've definitely got to be tough-skinned. And if you're not, it's a no.
It's a no-go. It's a no. You
Yeah.
know, it's one of them, isn't it? You know, like you say, it's. But if you're working with people who know what they're doing or whatever, like you're saying, agencies and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, maybe just sort of like, you know, working with people if that's what you want to do, but also you've got to be, like you say, tough-skinned and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Biggest misconception people have about like OnlyFans creators? What, you know, like?
I think they just think it's. I think like the biggest misconception is you just think it's like a porn site, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Like you're saying, there's a lot more that goes into it. It's not just.
Yeah, it's the big. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into these content creators, especially. I could only imagine some of these really big ones. It's not everything that they do is done on purpose as well. So they might think.
Yeah.
They're showing that for that everything that they've done, it's very articulated to do on purpose. So a lot of work goes into it. So it's easy to say that they just sit at home all day taking a few pictures or do this and do that. It's a lot
editing
more.
And people got to take the pictures and see a video it.
Of course,
like Ben does after the. But you know what? But you know, but like I'm saying, like I've heard on podcasts before, on other podcasts where, you know, girls who've been on OnlyFans and they're doing what's name, and some of the numbers that they talk about, you know, like I'm like,
I know.
You know what? I'm like, wow.
I know.
But I know they must have to get to a certain level of like followers and whatever to get them numbers.
I know some of these girls, they are doing amazing.
And I think, well, fucking hell, but good on you, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but then the perception.
But then it's finding that.
And then you think to yourself, what are they doing to get that money or whatever? And then they might say, oh yeah, they just sent a couple of pictures of like whatever and stuff. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking, oh,
really?
Really? Yeah, exactly. You know, I spoke to my missus about it and said, fucking hell, is that what, you know what I mean? And it's like,
we need one.
Yeah, fucking hell, no. But you know
That's
what?
That's what you and your missus will
No,
say.
said fucking no chance. But do you know what?
No.
It's mad how it, like, you have that perception of like, of assuming that it's this and it's that. And you know what? they're not hurting no one.
No, they're not.
And look, good luck to them. And listen,
I don't hate on anyone. Do you know what I mean? I think good luck to them and good on them. And because I've seen how hard it is, I understand it now. Do you know what I mean? So I understand that it's not what it's all made out to be. We've just made a few fancy pictures. It's difficult. So yeah, good luck to them. I think good luck to them, and yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Well, this is it, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? So it's family life today. What's family life like today?
So it's just me and my little girl. But like I said, unfortunately, my mum passed away. But I'm close with my family. We're a really tight-knit family. I'm not with Arabella's dad. That's a story in itself. But
yeah.
But it's just me and her and my family, and that's my focus and my priority now. And that little girl, until you've had a child, you know how much that little girl means.
It's a different love, isn't it?
It's a different love, and I want to do the best for her now. Going forward, my life is a priority. Is just around her, and yeah, I just want to do the best for her really, and give her the life. But then I want her to be aware of mistakes. You know, I want her to know when she's old enough, like, you know, mummy made some mistakes, but not until she's old enough.
Yeah, of course, you'll have that conversation when she's a lot older, of course you will.
Yeah, until she's, and be like, you know, no one's perfect. And it's about realising there's people out there that can bring you in and where you are in your life, and I want her to be aware of all different types of situations, so I want to help and guide her as well.
No, well that's it. That's what, like, you know, when that'll come when she gets a lot older and stuff like that. But you know, there was something that I was going to ask you, and you might think that might be being mad here, but you know, like, you've made, you know, kids of today are easily groomed to do like county lines and stuff like that, and go and do stuff that they shouldn't. Would you not ever be interested in going into schools and the dangers of being?
Yeah.
Would you not?
You know,
would you fancy that?
I'm
Or
naturally a really caring person. I love caring and looking after people. So recently I've been thinking, I do want to do this aesthetics, but I enjoy. I get satisfaction of looking after people.
You're a people person.
I am, and guiding people. That's why I was a nurse. And maybe do I want to, going forward, try and help people, and like you said, maybe go in schools and try and guide people and do something in them type of like that terms, and try and guide people and the right path.
I think you'd be, you know, just speaking to you because you can see that you are a caring person. I think anybody who does in the care sector, like, you know, whether it be like looking at, you know, in the NHS or in care homes, you've got to be a caring person to do that. My wife used to do that, and she and honest to God, she got the satisfaction she got out of it. Well, this one, like, you know what I mean?
Telling
you know, stories. I come home and go, fucking hell, you know what I mean? And it's like funny as and you've got to be a caring person, and you can see that, you know, you did make a mistake, Levi. You did, and you owned it, you know, and but to go into schools and, because let's be honest, there's kids now.
That's where it starts.
It starts in school where they get manipulated by the older people and whatever, and you can get sucked in. And your story, you could go in and speak to, like, you know, kids in secondary schools or whatever, because I think obviously primary schools is a bit too young. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But you fucking hell, you would be surprised, wouldn't you? But
I know.
But looking at it going into like secondary schools and even colleges or and it's like we've had a lot of people come on the podcast who do actually do like the live life experience, going into like schools, workplaces, and you know, because people do get sucked in. That's the word.
And it's easy. I was sucked in. It's just so easy to be sucked in, and especially at that age, growing up at schools, you're most vulnerable then.
That's what I'm saying. You play on vulnerable people. You know what I mean?
So yeah, I'd love to do that. I think I'd love to try and help and guide people and be like, listen, I've made my mistakes, and if, you know, going forward, if I can just stop that one other person to then go and seek some advice if they're going through something. even if it's just one person from making that.
You've made that change. You've changed that. You've helped that person. And
just think twice about
exactly
what you're actually doing.
But like you going in and like speaking to people, standing in an assembly hall, with your kids, you sit on the floor in the assembly hall, and you know someone would be speaking at the front of the, you know, could be like someone like a local businessman or something like that would come in, and you'd all be like to it, you'd listen in. But like, but now with our kids of today in today's society, it just, you see it so much, like kids just sucked in because they don't know nothing else, and the dangers, and you know, and lucky enough, you know what I mean,
because of social media as well, they're sucked in that, oh, this is this glamorous lifestyle, I want that, so how do I go and get that? And yeah, that's how they're sucked in, but really it's not what it's set to be.
But that's what I'm saying. Just, you going in and speaking to people and telling your story, I think that's something that would be like, I think you know, it'd do well, because all our kids in schools and stuff, you know, it's just the society, social media again.
It's not what it portrays to be. I've posted many fancy pictures, but that doesn't mean I'm happy.
But that's what you've just said before. You were honest and open about that, where you post a picture and, you know what I mean, and 5 minutes later you could have, you know, you're fucking stuffing dog shit or something, you know what I mean, or whatever, or you know, you're feeling down within yourself.
And I think it's about making that aware to children as well, about the social media platform. It's not what it's set out to be. Of
course it is.
Behind that smiling face could be 1,000 tears, you know.
You know, there's 1,000 pieces inside where you're hurting so much, and that smile, you put that mask on and you smile, and people see that, you know what I mean. It's you're happy, you're happy. You don't know how I'm feeling inside, and what I'm doing to, you know,
and it's normal to feel like that. I want them to feel like, you know, it's normal to feel like that.
You've got feelings.
We're only human.
You're only human. You're not a robot. And
we're behind keyboards
or
nowadays,
on your phone or an iPad or whatever.
And we just don't have connection the same, I feel like, as well, with people anymore. You're behind, and then, you know, you see people when you go for meals and that, people just, they're like sat across from each other and they're on the phone, and you think, what is today's society? Do you know what I mean? And it's about making that awareness.
It's mad, isn't it? When you say to kids, you know, we used to just go looking for our friends, knocking on doors and stuff. I've said this to a couple of guests on the podcast. We didn't have mobile phones. You'd go looking, or you go knocking on their houses and stuff.
I remember playing like manhunts and like scatter, and do you know what I mean? And I had a proper childhood,
but it's just social media. It's not social media.
And then we're creating little monsters, are we? Do you know what I mean? Are we creating monsters for the future?
It's just so mad. Social media has a big part to play, I think, in the kids of today's society, because don't get me wrong, I use social media myself.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm not being a hypocrite, but what I'm saying is that you know, I think there's some things that if we could, it's try and do things a little bit better, and I think, you know, with the likes of people like yourself who've made a mistake, but like, you know, it's how you've come back from that, and going into. I really think it's something you should look into, if I'm going to be honest. And I hope, you know, it'd be great to... Hey, Tony, by the way, I'm going to this school, you know, but do you know what? I'm sure there's someone I can try and put you in contact with who might be able to sort, you know, because I think
I would love that.
Yeah,
I would.
And it's like you're saying, and
like I said, if I could just change one person, even just if it's just the one person to think twice, to go and seek a bit of advice or a bit of help, and remember that Levi, let me just think about that, or I might. So if I can just do that, I'd love that. That'd be very rewarding and satisfying.
Rewarding, and that's that's in it. So,
of course,
what's in the pipeline for Levi Whalley?
Hopefully big things.
Yeah, no, that's it.
I'm just going to change my life around now. Obviously, it's not what I wanted it to be, but I'm dealing with that now, and hopefully my whole focus is going to be on completely put all my time and energy into something else. So I'm going to try, you know, a few months, try with this aesthetics more, and like you said, I would love to go into schools and do that, and maybe look down that remit and maybe focus on that as well, and trying to help people in that area.
No, I think
hopefully,
I think it'd be
something
brilliant.
Good can come from it. A bad situation, I can bring some good.
You can turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah, and that's what it's about.
No, I think I just want to say, listen, Levi, you know, you've been so honest and open, and you know what, it was really, you know, you can read whatever in the papers.
Of course you can, yeah.
And
Yeah.
most of the time, it's a load of bullshit in it. It's chippy paper.
Of course it is.
But obviously,
It sells.
yeah, of course it does. And, you know, it's chippy paper the next day. But then again, you know, once they get you done, and you've been so honest and you've been so open, and, you know, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
very
for
much.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.